responsibility to ensure that AI is guided by justice, fairness, integrity, and respect for human dignity. His central message was clear: AI can never become more ethical than the people who create and deploy it. The keynote address was delivered by Professor James Kaz, a Felds Professor of Emerging Media Studies at Boston University, who presented on grief bots, the limits of AI presence. His presentation explored the emerging use of artificial intelligence in simulating deceased loved ones and examined both its promise and its ethical limitations. While acknowledging technological advancements, he emphasized that the genuine human relationships remain irreplaceable and cautioned against over-reliance on grief bots, noting that they cannot fully replicate the emotional, spiritual, and social dimensions of human grief and healing. This was followed by the program director, who invited the chief guests, Principal Secretary, State of Department for Science, Research, and Innovation, Professor Shaukat Abdul Razak, who delivered a compelling address on positioning Kenya at the frontier of science, research, and artificial intelligence in national development. He emphasized that scientific advancements in AI must always uphold human dignity and be developed responsibly. He described AI as a new national infrastructure that is driving multi-trillion-dollar economies across the world, and challenged Kenya and Africa to make deliberate investments that would enable the continent not merely to be consumers of AI technologies, but to produce innovations for the global market. One of the day's significant milestones was the official launch and unveiling of the Journal of Artificial Intelligence, Digital Innovation and Society. The journal is envisioned as a regional scholarly platform that will attract researchers and contributors from universities across the region, providing an important avenue for advancing AI research and knowledge dissemination. The conference also celebrated innovation through the Ignite Innovations and Awards, showcasing outstanding student-led innovations aimed at building an AI-ready Africa. The top 3 innovators were recognized and presented with awards by the Principal Secretary and the Vice Chancellor, Daystar University, demonstrating Daystar University's commitment to nurturing creativity and innovation among young scholars. The next plenary presentation was delivered by Dr. Tony Omwansa, Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya National Innovation Agency, who spoke on From Policy to Practice, Building Kenya's AI-Ready Innovation Ecosystem. He observed that one of Kenya's greatest challenges is its limited productivity capacity, and emphasized the need to strengthen the nation's ability to generate quality products and innovations. He highlighted AI as a powerful enabler of productivity and competitiveness, and called for sustained investments in capacity building, particularly within universities such as Daystar, to prepare graduates for an AI-driven economy. The afternoon program featured a high-level roundtable discussion on scaling responsible AI in Africa, moderated by Ms. Nyatichi Nyasani, a respected media expert. The panel brought together the CEOs and industry leaders and Daystar University Vice Chancellor, who examined strategies for responsible AI adoption across the continent, emphasizing ethical governance, collaboration, innovation, and inclusive development. Following the lunch break, participants attended a paper presentation by Ms. Sarah Wasike on faith and artificial intelligence, which stimulated thoughtful reflection on relationship between technology advancements and faith, reinforcing the conference overarching theme of integrating ethical and spiritual values into AI development. In summary, Day 1 successfully established the intellectual and ethical foundation for the conference. Across the keynote addresses, policy discussions, innovation showcases, and scholarly presentations, a consistent message emerged that artificial intelligence must be developed responsibly, anchored on virtue, human dignity, ethical leadership, collaboration, and innovation. The discussions reinforced the collective responsibility of academia, government, industry, faith communities, and society to ensure that AI serves humanity and contributes to sustainable development in Kenya, Africa, and beyond. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Monica Opio. Can we stand? Let's just stand and stretch, at least relax a little bit. Just, just stand. Do something. Stretch one hand. Stretch the other one. Let's just yes, we relax. As we sit in this AI space, this body still need to be exercised. All right. You can take a seat now. I would like to invite Professor Edward Owino to come and just share some thoughts with us.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, researchers, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Isn't it a great morning? Isn't it a great morning today? We thank God for allowing us to see it another day. And as we start today's session, I will be, of course, encouraging us to think about the role of AI in education, in research, in the society, and in other facets. The discussion yesterday framed AI as a technology that we must live with. It is not whether we should adopt AI, but rather how we can embrace AI to better humanity. So throughout today's discussion, there will be a lot of interest and a lot of focus on how AI can be embraced to enhance humanity. I will therefore be responsible for framing AI for research inclusion and society, and therefore setting the context for responsible AI in Africa. Artificial intelligence is no longer a technology issue. Instead, it is a reality that is affecting research. It is affecting our education systems. It is affecting governance. It's affecting faith. Artificial intelligence is affecting human development, and more so, it is impacting on our society. In today's deliberations, especially when we go out for those breakout rooms, focus will be on addressing how artificial intelligence can therefore be adapted to enhance or to better humanity. As we embark on today's sessions, I'll be urging the teams that will be, of course, dealing with the different themes to seek to address at least 3 questions. 1, how can AI transform research evidence into more meaningful and impactful society or societal impact? As we adapt AI, who is benefiting the most? Is there someone being left behind? Can we adapt AI to change humanity? Can AI change the way our colleagues, perhaps in the village, are living? Can we adapt AI to change the way our colleagues in the urban areas are living? AI is framed as having changed research. In the past, the focus of researchers was on reading volumes and volumes of literature to be able to understand what is going on, to be able to get research gaps, to be able to inform the future. Researchers therefore read volumes of papers to identify a problem, to understand the existing literature, the theories behind certain issues. More so, we adapted traditional methods of data collection, like giving out questionnaires here and there, coming back to manually input them in spreadsheet packages for analysis. But we're saying that times have changed. Today's deliberations shall be about how researchers can employ artificial intelligence to detect changes in trends over time, which then becomes a problem worth investigating because it's a deviation from the norm. Today, researchers use AI to search and synthesize. So it's not just about who has said this and that in literature, but it's about interrogating what those authors have ever said. We use AI to develop research protocols, instruments that we then use to collect data. We use AI to predict outputs. That is not just about analyzing or writing some reports and putting them in the shelves of our library, but it's about coming up with outcome that can be predictive in nature, and so on and so forth. So as we deliberate on today's theme, we expect this discussion to actually take center stage. The second area where we expect a lot of discussions to play out shall be on how AI can enhance inclusion. That can AI be used to speak African language? Like today we are in Kenya, can AI speak the Luo? Can AI speak a Gikuyu language? Can AI speak Kamba? If it can, then the rural folk can use AI to enhance their well-being. We shall be discussing whether persons with disability can leverage AI to live in a better way. We shall be questioning whether AI makes women benefit better, or does it do the reverse? We shall also interrogate whether AI respects the African culture. And I'm posing and saying, if AI is not doing any of the above, then AI is leaving someone behind. As we embrace AI as a society, it has several effects on societal operations, but we're saying that AI should actually uphold society as its center of gravity. That everything we do with AI should, at the end of the day, impact society positively. And if we do this, then technology will be serving humanity rather than the reverse. In yesterday's presentation, one of the presenters framed AI in terms of AI, Africa's moment. So AI, Africa's moment. And I want to add to the same and say, yes, it is Africa's moment to do what? To lead in terms of agriculture, to lead in terms of exporting knowledge, to lead in terms of education, to lead in terms of creative industries, to lead in health, to lead in financial inclusion, to lead in climate resilience, and to lead in international collaborations. This is an opportunity for Africa, that Africa shall never be the same as soon as we embrace AI. These discussions shall go on when we go back, or when we go to our breakout rooms and interrogate them further. The research agenda. We have many researchers congregating today here as stakeholders, and they have many areas of research interest. But we want to urge that as we discuss AI, can we consider responsible AI? Can we consider implementation science? Can we consider AI to inform governance? can AI be used as a human-centered AI? We are hoping that researchers shall also focus on leaving societal impact in terms of capacity building, in terms of enhancing interdisciplinary research, in terms of coming up with policies that shall positively impact on humanity, and more so enhancing community engagement. The deliberations that shall take place today should therefore focus on AI as a virtuous tool. This was presented yesterday, and we still urge that can AI be embraced as a virtuous tool? Can we use AI to undertake research in a responsible manner? Can AI be inclusive of everybody? Can AI impact on society positively? Can AI resonate with policies that shall enhance our well-being? If this happens, then indeed we shall be adapting AI to the betterment of humanity. So with this, I want to leave you with a verse, Daniel 12:14. Many will go here and there to increase knowledge. We are gathered here as Do Brains Conference to increase knowledge. So you're most welcome, and thank you very much.
A round of applause for Professor Owino. Wow, thank you very much, Professor Owino, for helping us to think through AI, who does it benefit? The part that we are thinking about, who does it benefit? The inclusion, the technology, from technology to societal transformation. So it's not just about good ideas and leveraging on the thoughts that were yesterday, that it is Africa's moment. And those who are able to see the innovations by the young people, yes, we have a future in our young people. I think through AI and how it can sort out our problems. He's also talked about human-centered solutions, so that we are going to the people to find out what their needs are, and therefore co-creating a solution using AI. And that's brilliance. And so with that, can we just give another round of applause for Professor Owino for helping to guide us in our thinking today. Now, at this point, I would like to invite the chair, Professor. Okay, I think he has just stepped out. We have, the deputy chair, Dr. Jane Kimathi, to just come. That this whole organization was around some very key people who have given in their contribution to just tell us whether we are welcome for the day. We just seem to be going on.
Oh, okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, say hi to your neighbor. Mfanyie high five. High five your neighbor. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for creating time to be here. And we want to appreciate you for just waking up and purposing to be here today. Today we have very good speakers you don't want to miss for sure. And therefore we want to take a minute just to say thank you for creating time to be with us. And you are most welcome. We are hoping you can be able to do all the sections today with us and stay with us up to the 4 o'clock tea. There's tea at 4. Yeah, so you can imagine we are well packed for you, and we are happy that you created time to be here. Thank you so much. Just like Dr. Susan has said, we can't welcome you better than just saying karibuni sana for purposing to be here. Please keep giving us feedback. We're just about to give you a QR code so that you can keep giving us the feedback, positive, negative, where to improve and all that. But we are happy. Just out of 10, I want to now ask Dr. Laban, who is my very good friend, Daktari, out of 10, what do you think we scored yesterday? Out of 10. Ah, 9.2, which is still an A anyway. Yeah, which is clearly still an A. Maybe I could still pick one more. Jimna, out of 10, what would you give us? Oh, that same school. Oh, okay. We can pick another school. Yeah? 8. Okay, 8. We are still doing some A minus thereabouts. But now this time, let me try picking a lady. Maybe now Kenya, out of 10. What do you think we scored yesterday? You scored what? At 9, very good. I think we can give them a clap. Yeah, an average of 9 and 8. Those who are mathematicians like me, 9, 8, and 9.2, you still know that's an A anyway. We're still at 9, so we are doing very well, and we are happy. And where we have missed at 2%, it's areas of improvement, and so we are happy. Welcome again and again, and it's a great privilege that you managed to come. Thank you. Now the official chair has come. I was being told to welcome people on your behalf. Okay, I've already done that. Thank you, Dr. Susan.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jen Kimathi. At this point, we want to transition to our guests who are giving the keynote for the day. And I would want to invite Mr. Stanley Mutuma. He's a Kenyan jurist, disability rights advocate, and Secretary General of the Kenya National Paralympic Committee, where he drives governance reform, athlete welfare, and strategic international partnerships. We will be projecting, I think, his presentation. He's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. He holds an LLB and an LLM honors from the University of Nairobi, and he serves in Kenya's judiciary championing justice sector reforms, including specialized sexual offenses, docket, systems, and frameworks for sexual offender accountability. He is a 3-time Paralympian, 2012, 2016, and 2024. We need to clap for him. He now steers Kenya's Paralympics 2028 strategy, blending law, technology, and inclusive innovation to advance accessible, data-driven governance and equitable opportunity across Africa. Welcome, sir. Please clap for him.
So the Vice Chancellor at Daystar University, Professor Airo, the Chairman Conference, Professor Kabaji, heads of faculty, planning team, distinguished guests, good morning. Yeah, like you heard, my name is Stanley Mutuma. I'm not yet a professor like Madam said, but I'm inspired to be one. I see there are a lot of doctors in the house. But yeah, I'm a legal practitioner. I work in the judiciary as well, and also working as a secretary, serving as a Secretary General of the Kenya National Paralympics Committee. As you may, I'm sure many of you may not be aware, but the Paralympics is the umbrella body that promotes, governs, and manages sports for persons with disability or athletes with disability. And you've heard people like Henry Wanyoike, Mary Nakumisha, Henry Thuo, and all those kind of people. So we are also in that space trying to help our athletes to be able to perform as best as the others. And I would just like, by starting, to urge you to cheer them as they gear up to participate in the Commonwealth Games of Glasgow 2026. How many are aware about the Commonwealth Games? So they'll be starting on the 23rd of this month to the 2nd of August. So yeah, thank you for that. So today I'll be discussing about inclusion, inclusive AI, and equity in the same space. Yeah, I shall have my presentation, which shall be shared, I think, later. So when we speak about inclusive AI, what do we mean? You know, when you think about persons with disability, you may wonder, now be focusing on persons with specifically visual disability, visual challenges, or those who have a challenge in accessing print in its media. So you might try to ask yourself, how will somebody like me or my friends there, Sam and Douglas, Eric, how will they be able to access any kind of a gadget? For example, if it's a laptop, if it's a phone, and so on and so forth. So when you talk about inclusion in itself as a concept, we find that this is one of the national values anchored in the Constitution, because we must find the legal framework or anchorage of these principles that we talk about. When you look at Article 10 of the Constitution, where we have the national values and principles, you find principles like inclusion, dignity, and equity. This means that whatever we do, we must have in mind the needs of all members of the society, such that even in this realm or this space that is coming of ICT, we must have the issue of inclusion, accessibility, equity. This is carried all through the law, the Constitution, Article 27 on upholding dignity, principles of non-discrimination, and so on and so forth, such that when public bodies are exercising their mandates or duties, they must consider these principles we have talked about. So one of the areas that the government is really pushing is the issue of digital accessibility. And when we talk about accessibility, then it brings in the issue of inclusion. So what has happened, for example, in the Western world, they have moved far ahead of us in research, and we find that, for example, when we come to issues of ICT technology, like digital access, you find that, for example, if I have a computer laptop, which I'm expected to work with, and it's the normal sense of the laptop without any additional features, it might be difficult or impossible for me to work with. But now put in the area of AI, and then there are applications that now enable one to be able to access, for example, the laptop. There are programs like what we call screen reading programs, like JAWS, Job Access with Speech, NVDA, and Visual Display, and so on and so forth. When you talk about the telephones, the mobile phones, we have now inclusive technology where you can turn on accessibility, then you can use voice over. This means that one is able to, for example, access their computer just like any other person. For example, now, let me just... Yeah, maybe I'll be able to demonstrate at some time how I can be able to use my laptop here. Yeah, so just using my laptop here, where you see that you can be able to work, you can be able to access all Microsoft Office programs like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So you can be able to create. Okay. So now, for example, I'm just on my slides. Yeah, yeah. So you see, I can be able to make my presentations and these slides that I've created myself. That means, for example, when you are at the workspace, you can be able to do your research, you can be able to create legal briefs, you can be able to create legal opinions. And for example, in my directorate, where I'm in charge of several units, I can be able to give assignments to my colleagues and staff. Then I can be able to appraise them without any other further extra help. For example, if my boss, that's the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary or the Honorable Chief Justice, wants to give me an assignment, they will just pass over the paper to me with a sticky note, which I then can be able to scan and be able to, assimilate. And this one makes me be able to perform my duties like any other person. So maybe I'll also demonstrate something on the phone. We also have what we call, for example, now in this day and age, we are talking about communication, interacting with each other. So for example, you have applications like the WhatsApp, Instagram, and so on and so forth. So maybe I can be able to show that I can use my phone.
Chrome. Double search. Google Maps. Simple radio.
I hope you can be able to hear.
Project Astra. WhatsApp. Project WhatsApp.
So I go to WhatsApp, for example.
WhatsApp. Back button. U A edit button. U
Then I
A,
can go to
10.
chats.
Your photo. Edit button. Your photo.
So for example, if somebody has sent me a photo, I can be able to use an application called Seeing AI to get to understand what is in the photo. Let me just open one photo.
Your photo. 8 10 button. Reply. Toolbar. Forward. Start. Delete. Start. Forward. Share button.
I can go to share.
Heading 16 save. Share button. Document. 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 If Joy Prince Douglas. More. John Titus. A tip. Plus. Toss. Push. 31. Airdrop. Message. Mail. WhatsApp. Notes. Reminder. Journal. Free. Google. Chrome. ChatGPT. Gemini. More. Copy. But save image. Button. Assign to contact. View more. Button.
So I go to view more.
View less. Print. Add to new quick. Create watch fit. Save to file. Envision it. Recognize with Seeing AI. Describe with Be My Eyes. Button.
So now I'll go to an application known as Describe with Be My Eyes,
Message. Text field.
and it
Double tap to
usually it's to
Please
be
wait.
able
Be My Eyes
to.
riding a Be My AI. Two adults standing together outdoors in front of a dark colored car. Both have dark brown skin and are smiling toward the camera. Standing close with the taller person's arm around the other shoulder. The person on the left appears shorter and is wearing a yellow and white patterned jacket over a black top, white trousers, and yellow high-heeled shoes with black sections over the toes. A white lanyard with a name badge hangs from the neck, and another conference badge is clipped to the waistband. This person is holding a book with a dark blue cover that has a brain illustration and the title Brains That Bring You Peace. The person on the right appears taller and is dressed in a dark suit with a coral or salmon-colored shirt and a patterned tie. A white lanyard with a name badge hangs from the neck, and another badge is attached to chest height. Black dress shoes complete the outfit. In the background, there is greenery with bushes and small trees, some with orange-red flowers, and part of the white tent structure. The ground is paved with interlocking bricks.
So that's the picture we just took in the morning with my friend Wairumo Gitao, and you can see it describes very well. So with the AI, you can be able to manipulate the speed, the pitch, and all that. Another thing I'll explain is about the generative AI, which is in terms of research or communication, and it gives us a description of real time. So for example, let me go to the Gemini and demonstrate this one.
Music.
Let me just reduce the speed so that.
Headings. Containers. Speaking rate. 65%, 70%, 65, 60%. Words. Characters. Actions. Headings. Simple radio. Messages. Music. Message. Phone. Phone. Search. Page 3 of 4. Adjust. Page 4. Gemini.
So I open the Gemini app,
Text field. Is editing. Ask Gemini. Insertion point at start. Insertion point
so
at
I
end.
can communicate with the Gemini. Hello, Gemini.
Talk to Gemini in any language. Talk to Gemini in any language. Sidebar. Button.
Hi, Gemini.
Gemini flash dim button. Gemini flashlight but dim. What can I help with? Add attachment. But microphone. Talk lip. Microphone. Button. Talk lip. Button.
So-
lip. Sidebar. Button.
Gemini, tell me more about inclusive AI.
Inclusive AI is all about developing artificial intelligence systems that are designed to be fair, accessible, and beneficial for everyone, regardless of their background or characteristics. This means actively working to identify and remove biases in the data used to train models, ensuring diverse representation in development teams, and making technology accessible to people with disabilities. It's about building a future where AI serves all of humanity equitably. What specific aspect of inclusive AI are you most interested in?
So you can do your research with that. Let me also tell me,
Dim button.
what can you see in front of me?
Let me take a look. I can see what looks like a desk with a few notebooks and a pen on it. There's also a laptop slightly off to one side. Is there something specific you wanted me to focus on?
Yes, describe comprehensively what is in the room.
Based on what I see, the room appears to be a home office or study. Besides the desk with the notebooks and laptop, there's a comfortable-looking chair pushed in and a bookshelf against the wall filled with books and some decorative items. There's also a window letting in natural light with some plants on the windowsill and a lamp on the desk for additional lighting. It looks like a very calm and productive space. Is there any particular area?
Yeah, if I want to order for coffee in the French language, how do I order?
To order a coffee in French, you can simply say un café, s'il vous plaît, which means a coffee, please. Depending on what you're after, you could also ask for an espresso, s'il vous plaît, or un café au lait, s'il vous plaît, which is coffee with milk. It's always a good idea to start with a polite bonjour when you greet the barista.
Please
Is there a
order for
specific
me-
type of coffee?
Please order for me a coffee in a French restaurant.
In that case, you could say un café, s'il vous plaît, when the server comes by, which is a polite and direct way to order. Would you like anything else with your coffee, like a croissant?
Now I want to speak to the cab driver in Korean language and say, please take me to the Marriott Hotel in Korean language.
You can say 메리어트 호텔로 가주세요. In English letters, that's 메리어트 호텔로 가주세요. This means, please take me to the Marriott Hotel. Are you planning to visit the hotel
So
soon?
this is a practical example, and I gave it because last year we traveled to South Korea with my friend, and of course we cannot speak Korean, and they could not speak English. So we used the AI to easily move around. So you see, these are some of the practical things that AI is really using. So I'd like to leave with this saying by Scott Harman, says that the only disability in life is a bad attitude. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mutuma. And before you leave the stage, I would want to truly appreciate and request the team that is bringing to just come over with a gift. Thank you very much for helping us know that we really don't have to get lost.
Yeah.
And that we can literally communicate anywhere. I'm waiting for the team to come over.
Questions, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we welcome questions.
Okay.
Welcome questions, feedback.
Any questions? Any questions from the listeners?
Yeah, it would be
Let's have a
very
mic-
nice
a
to
mic
hear your
going round.
feedback, your questions, clarifications.
Yes.
So you see that even in the morning, I don't have to ask my wife which suit I'm wearing. I just get the AI and it will describe for me.
All right. Thank you so much, Stanley, for that. I was just curious, given 15, pretty, I've read your story, pretty young, you were walking around the bomb blast area and you were going home for school fees as a young teenager, and voila, the bomb blast happened and you lost your sight. I'm imagining if AI was then, during the moment, I know you went through a lot of times of healing, adjusting, and starting all over again as a high school student in Form 1 or Form 2. What would have changed then, which is now making it easier for you in terms of accessibility of many other things that are around, especially with vision impairment?
Thank you very much, Dr. Mwaka. That's a wonderful question. It's true, that time when I got this challenge following the 1998 bombing and went to treatment in the UK and all that. Yeah, so the challenge at that time, and for many other people who had the challenge of visual disability, was very difficult because now you can imagine you have even if you get a mobile phone, it's not accessible. So when you hear a message ping, ting, you must now start wondering who's that. You must get somebody to check for you, for example, if somebody's calling. So you see, those are very simple and practical examples. Another thing, for example, when you have your cash, at that time you may not know how much money you have. Is 100 bob or 200 of. But now with this AI, there's something called cash reader. Only that, I wish I had the time to demonstrate. You just have your words of notes, whether it's in any currency, Kenya shillings, dollars. You just scan it, and within a second it tells you 500, 1,000. So you are able to plan your notes in a very confidential way. Another thing, Doc, for example, this thing is very practical. Even now, you can do your transactions in a very easy way, M-Pesa, iBanking, all by yourself. And once you send a message, if you don't want it, you can delete it. You can do just like any other person. So you see, AI has enhanced the confidence, the dignity, and more so, I think very importantly, it has been able to mainstream inclusivity so that people with disability can work in any other fields, for example, in the legal sector, financial, academia, all that. And that, I think it's a very powerful tool for good. So what I can say for AI is not a luxury for us, but really a necessity of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate. There's a question there from Douglas, but as Douglas says, personally, we as Daystar, we have so much to appreciate. Stanley, Douglas, Sam who are here, and others. In terms of supporting us, when we were thinking about doing the Innovation Center in 2023, how we came in terms of inclusivity, Dr. Ruben, is they came up and said, when you're doing the design, why don't you include one floor that is going to be a floor for anyone with disability, and they would like to do the innovations around there. And they connected us to many partners who are willing to support the project as it comes up in Daystar. And we have a very good connection with the Kenya Society for the Blind, and Sam is here, the CEO, and we've been doing so much, and hopefully it's going to come to fruition as we come near ending with the partners who are going to support the Innovation Center. And one of the installation that we are thinking probably, Stanley, is Professor Russell in Netherlands, University of Netherlands, and others are going to install quite a lot of AI facility within that particular floor to support this. So we are very grateful to the Kenya Society of Blind Paralympic Committee, and amongst others, for being part of us in Daystar. I wanted just to say thank you in public so that you know we really value a partnership.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Like you have said, yeah, we are partnering, and it's good for the people to know here, the distinguished guests, that we also have an organization known as EcoCare Africa Trust, where I and Douglas are part of. And we have this idea that because we are saying that we are part and parcel of what is happening now in this area of digitization, accessibility, AI. So when Daystar came up with this idea to set up an innovation hub, we said, why can't we plug in that space? And through the partnership of Daystar, Kenya Society for the Blind, and I'm happy my good friend Sam Wawero is here, the executive director, and ourselves from the EcoCare, where we have our founding chairman, eminent professor, this is Russell Taylor. You can check him out on the internet. Decided to plug in and have one floor dedicated to innovations in an AI sense. Because like I mentioned earlier, this is part of the principles of life, that now, more and more, we must be inclusive and have equitable distribution of resources. And AI is a resource, isn't it? So I think this is very important, Daktari, and again, gratitude to the board and the VC of Daystar for partnering with us to have this dream come to something. So thank you very much.
Just before you sit down, Stanley, this is Douglas Sidialo. Yes, we are very good friends with Stanley, and we are connected from the hip. Because it so happened that when the bombing happened, I was right there with him. And yes, he was from school, and I was just driving by. And that's the day we lost our sight, the same day. So we were connected at the hip. So Stanley, just before you sit down, I just want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Yes, you serve at the judiciary as an eminent advocate and a lawyer. How are you looked at the judiciary by the chief registrar, of the judiciary and also the office of the Honorable Chief Justice because you have a disability. And how I also looked at by the community you serve at the Paralympic and your family.
Yeah, thank you very much, Douglas. Very nice question. Because I talked about mainstreaming, it's a very strange thing to answer, but the reality is that when I'm serving at the judiciary or in any other capacity, it's like those people don't notice a disability. Actually, it has never really come up. Because you see, you're just given assignments, even sometimes to represent the high levels at the judiciary, just like a eminent and equitable officer. So that matter has never come up because you are able to deliver competently your work even just as well or even above your other non-challenged colleagues. So it has actually never come up in... So, I mean, that's what I mean that this is what we want, that we are part and parcel of society, so that when you are anywhere, the disability is secondary because I think it's part of diversity. Just like the way you have some tall people, short people, brown people, or yellow people. So I think it moves people away from the realm of segregation or just isolating people like, oh, these ones they are people with disability, these ones are women, these ones they are brown people or whatever, you know? So it looks more to the humanity, I think. So that's why I think, to me, AI, ethical AI, is very good because it levels the playing field that you can be able to do anything very well, communicate very well, like I've demonstrated. And even you'll be surprised to know that in the United States and others, there are blind people who are very good computer programmers. So you see, it's every part of society. Yeah. So thank you for that question, and Douglas. Yes, Sam. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. Yeah, as was said, my name is Samson Oweru, the Executive Director, Kenya Society for the Blind. And we are a statutory body established through an act of parliament to promote training, welfare, employment, and rehabilitation of the blind. And I think I want to thank Daystar University for taking the bold step of walking the talk on disability. One of the most discriminative places in our lives as persons with disabilities are churches, religious setups.
True.
And this is what I would like to us to focus on, Stanley. And this being a Christian university, beginning to encourage conversations around AI and disability could really dismantle a lot of barriers. Because one, we have seen as objects of miracles that seem never to happen. As director of Kenya Society for the Blind, you will see a lot of crusaders saying they are healing the blind, the crippled. But the way I know the blind, I've never had anyone who has been healed as a person who is in charge of them. But we have modern miracles that are transformational, including this AI. And it's looking at how can we make AI possible to give opportunities to persons with disabilities for them to be independent, not to be seen as objects of charity or objects of miracle, so that they are all looked as holders of rights and being given an opportunity to read, to learn, to get good employment, decent jobs, and to support and start their families. So when you see Stanley here, what Daystar University is thinking is that we can have all persons with disability uplifted in the community. And that's why we are thinking of research within the Innovation Center. Can we have a course on how to rehabilitate? Because when you asked Stanley about what he thought could have gone better when he lost sight during the bomb blast, one of the things that came up then is the Center for Adaptive Technology at Kenya Society for the Blind. It has remained one of the beacon of hope for anyone who loses sight, whether in employment, you brought there after 6 months, you go back and continue even working better than you were before. And this is rehabilitation, restoring dignity, restoring independence. And now we have to take this message to the churches so that they don't see us as people who need to be restored our sight. You know, at the end of the day, we don't pay taxes. When you return my sight, I'll start paying. But when you give me technology and AI that enables me to work and function independently, then I end up leading a very, very honorable and dignified life. Maybe your thoughts on that, Stanley. Thank you.
That's a very good observation. I think Mr. Sam reserves another club. Absolutely, Sam. It's very true that, from a historical perspective, and remember what I said, the quote by Scott Harman. I don't know where he was from, but I just saw that quote. The only disability in life is a bad attitude. You see, also from a historical context, maybe how disability was viewed from a social context and so on and so forth. So these are the barriers that we need to break just by doing the everyday thing, like I'm saying, working, even going to church, going to a bar, doing sports. These are normal things. So now what Sam said is very critical, because I think many persons with disability have been discouraged from going to church. Because now if you are prayed for and you don't recover your sight, then somebody can say, this fellow doesn't have enough faith. He's not behaving like Bartimaeus. So anyway, and the truth of the matter is that, like diversity, just to give a small context to this, when I went to another conference in the United Nations in New York, some very strong concept hit me. They were talking about, like in the Western world, now, they don't even take disability or women or various elements as different. They call it diversity, so that in the society, when you are doing any design, you must do it what we call universal design. That's why the law requires, for example, in the United States, Europe, there are standards. For example, when you are putting up a technology, like a phone, like a computer, any other technology that you may think of. Even now, I was surprised I got a blood pressure measuring machine in my house. And this thing, you just put it on to read for me, verbalize your diastolic value is 85, your systolic, whatever is 115 or whatever. Then it will tell you and it will measure. So you see these things you do independently. So there they have made it that what we call universal design, that when you're designing any appliance, be it a television or washing machine, that anybody can be able to use it to as far as reasonable and possible. You see? So that that diversity is there, is recognized by society. It's part and parcel of society. Then it enhances the independence, you see, that we are able to live alone. Yeah, these guys will tell you, even sometimes someone can be able to stay, for example, if my family goes for holiday, or I can just stay in my house by myself, do everything, go to work. I mean, the usual, just like any other person. Yeah, even cook. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that even the church needs to take up that space, like Sam has said, and just take different people as they are. I'm not a theologian, so I may not say not to emphasize the issue of miracles. But I think the point is clear that we need to be more inclusive also in the other spaces. Cindy? Yeah. Yeah, a question? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley Mutuma, for that very intriguing presentation and very informative as well. My name is Orimo Gitao. I'm sure you'll be bombarded by our students for interviews afterwards.
Yeah,
So I'm looking forward to what they present.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to know that you're in the legal space as well. And one conversation that has really come up that we are grappling with is AI accountability. What are the guardrails and ethics and responsibility, and who should be blamed in the long run when AI gets it wrong? So in relation to what you've presented and looking at the future of AI in terms of inclusion and in terms of the future of work, what guardrails do you see that we should adapt as Africa to ensure, as Dr. Opio has said, and earlier, yesterday, our VC, that we have a virtuous quotient that ensures that we are maintaining a moral compass and that we are resisting AI owning the continent, but rather we are driving AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Iremo, my good friend. Yeah, thank you. That's a very important question. And even us, as the legal fraternity or even the judiciary, we are still grappling because it's here with us. And if you have been watching even the recent interviews for the High Court judges, I think one of the questions that was not missing is, are you aware of the AI and how are you using it? Also recently, I remember there was drafting, what we call pleadings, that had been submitted to court. The matter had been concluded. I think it was before Justice Mamuye, Constitution and Human Rights. Then later I realized that the lawyer, the advocate, had used AI. So I'm not sure if he struck out that, but you see now AI is here with us and everybody is using it because it makes work much easier. But again, Wairemo, like you said, there are limitations, I think, because now it's difficult also to distinguish what is the human intelligence and what is being created by AI. You see that? Because now I can tell an AI draft for me a contract between me and Sam for the sale of a motor vehicle, give the details, blah, 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 and it will produce it. So anybody can do that and is not a lawyer. Yet inside there are some nuances. When you go through, as a legal person, you'll be able to pick out. Again, also in the realms of education, it's also difficult to say, now if you tell your child, okay, remember days that when we were given a composition, I had a terrible nightmare when I woke up, ... How is the AI going to interpret that to write a composition? Maybe it can. So you see also the creativity, I don't know, may get lost. So there is that discussion, and I may not have a definite answer, but the truth of the matter, we can't do away with AI. So AI is a force for good, but again, there are also barriers and limitations, and perhaps they are experts, and it's an evolving area. Because we have also heard that AI has also been used for very bad things. For example, some people even have sued these AI companies. You know, some people get addicted to AI. Some AI lead them to commit suicide, young people. So there are also challenges with the AI. Some you've seen even here, putting caricatures of prominent people in different places. So it can be abused as well. But I think the law is also trying to catch up with that and things like data protection. So it's a good area, but it's also a scary area because, again, like we were speaking in the morning with Doc Mwaka and others, what if now we have machines that can think autonomously? Yeah? Some machines can even turn against the maker. So you see, it's also a very difficult area that I may not have answers, but it's the area that we are in. But what I strongly believe, if this area is well regulated like it is a great force for good. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Stan. Good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Ngondi. I also chair organizations of persons with disability called United Disabled Persons of Kenya, UDPK. Stan, thanks so much for that wonderful sharing and presentation. I think a simple question that I have, we are using a lot of AI, even in the NGO space, writing proposals and also doing research and all that. But for me, the question I have is that this AI, depending so much on the information that is out there, that information that we have produced over a long time of years, as an African, as Kenya, as organizations of people with disability, we've not put enough information out there so that AI can also determine or tell our stories. So for me, Stan, the challenge is, or the question is, how can we then put more information out there? How do we create this information that we have, all of us, as a community of practice? We put it out here so that also the AI can be able to pick it. Indeed, we do not have such much information around ourselves, around our African, around Kenya, around disability. In fact, if you ask AI about the issue of organizations of persons with disability in Kenya, it will produce a different story. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay.
Mine is not a question, Stanley. Yeah. I'm called Igara Kabaji. Yeah, I'm just reflecting on some of the experiences that you have gone through. When I was a university student, I remember those early years in the 80s. I think Dr. Nancy is there. We were together, and it was problematic for learners with disabilities. Because I remember we used to go to some room to read for those with visual impairment. I remember Mary Atieno. Yes, we used to do that kind of thing. Now, I don't know, over the years, in your view, Stanley, do you think things have changed to a level where now we have, these learners having the necessary facilities? A few years ago, I went to South Africa, and I visited a university called University of Venda, with a complete center, a big center, with all the facilities you can ever imagine for those with, impairments. And the university has made it possible to have all those machines and all the facilities that are required, to enable those with the disabilities, especially, visual impairment, to learn. I do not know. I'm just thinking. I think Daystar has a real opportunity to provide such a center. Because when I look at Kenyan universities, I don't see any with that kind of center that makes learning easy for those with the visual impairment. Thank you very much.
I think there is need to Africanize some of these technologies so that they address our intrinsic needs. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
I think mine will be very, very brief because he has touched on the second aspect. My name is Dr. Joab Namai. I am chocolate in color. I am 78 kilograms, and I'm a faculty in this institution. I have chosen to do that because I was in a forum with the senator. So that's not me, Senator Sige at one point, and I think that was the introduction. So that people who are not able to see, they have a feel of who this guy is. And I know now our dear presenter knows the type of a guy that is talking before him. But do we have any software that can be able to do that so that I don't have to go into saying, you see, I'm Joab, I'm this color, I'm this weight, I'm tinted, all that. But thank you very much. God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much for those questions. I'll attempt to answer them, and it's very good feedback. Starting with Eric Ngontit here. Yeah, the issue of indigenization of this AI, I think is the same challenge we face, like also trained in other areas, like what you talk about jurisprudence. Yeah, we are also trying as a judiciary or legal practitioners in Kenya to indigenize jurisprudence, because some principles, yes, they are legal principles, but there's that nuance of the African setup. Yeah, and that's why we are doing away with most of the common law principles and trying to face the reality here. For example, just to give an example, we have the Married English Women Act of Property Act of 1882. Yeah, when you look here, there's the reality of polygamy and things like that. So you see, there will be nuances. So in the same thing, I think it is true that most of the AI and the mining of this data is mainly driven by the West because of their advancement in technology and Silicon Valley. So it remains a challenge even in terms of the descriptiveness. it may capture more of a Caucasian or Western-based person or situation than us. So I think that is also a challenge to the scholars, to the innovators, to the young people especially, because what we have here, we have a very active young people in the house, very active, very good in this technological savvy, and they should take up this digital space in terms of being creative and trying to indigenize, because I know there is room for that. So I think Eric is a good observation, but I think there are several multi-layered facets to it from the scholars, researchers, innovators who can take up that space and be able to ensure that also we take into context the African space. Yeah, Professor Kabaji, you talked about your days when you were in the university and reading for your colleagues, which is a very commendable thing. And absolutely, there is a huge distinct difference between that time and now. Because I remember even when I went to the University of Nairobi, 2007, to undertake LLB. Of course, the challenge with the resources, they didn't know how to. So you see, you have to inform them that this technology that is coming up, I remember the screen readers that time. So it really did help, and I believe by that time the lecturers were also starting to give notes in soft copy, so you could be able to do it. So even me, my exams, I just did by my computer, of course under supervision of the ICT people to ensure there's no cheating. So basically, what I'm saying, actually there's a huge improvement that now somebody, if well facilitated, you can be able to learn as much, and then you can just meet only when you are revising. So it gives a lot of independence, even doing the research, getting the notes, doing all that. Because even like I said now, the possibility is there, and I use it, even handwritten, the AI using the OCR, optical character recognition, they can be able to read very, very well. And that actually has made a huge improvement to independence and the dignity. But that being as it may, of course, you cannot take away the human element of being together, sometimes revising, discussing. But actually, the distinction is big. The leap is big. So that is very good. Again, the drawback, even as I discussed, the challenge with AI, it's very, very expensive. I think Samson Awero from the Kenya Center for the Blind can tell you that one big drawback with this AI, the challenges which I didn't mention in my presentation, a big challenge is the cost. Because you see, for example, if you have to get a good working machine, a laptop, then there is the screen software, JAWS, for example, the commercial software, costing about $1,000. Now I think from 2024, they have started, like many other technological-based services, paying for the license every year, I think $200. So you see, for example, when you buy a smartphone, it's also expensive. So the issue of cost, again, when we look at the African context, many areas are also biased in terms of internet accessibility. There's the issue of digital literacy. Like I said, most young people, thank God, they are not affected by that disease of digital illiteracy. But you see that challenge is there, that issue of digital challenge. And again, technology is evolving very fast, yeah? So you find that sometimes the cost and you have to keep yourself updated. That's a major challenge, the cost and the availability, accessibility of these items. Again, to our friend there, the theologian, you asked about the bad things, the ugly side of it, yeah. Also, this dependency of technology, because now sometimes if your telephone battery, mobile phone battery, or computer runs out, you see, now you'll be in a mess, you'll be panicking, because the other laptop, in as far as it may be, it may not be embedded with that software. So you see, there is that issue of also being over-reliant on technology, you see? So that's also a big challenge. And the cost, like I mentioned, just tying in the cost, the availability, even the access to these technologies, because we are not the manufacturers, they're imported and they're expensive because of the research. So that's a major drawback. And yes, now there exist things they are calling like smart glasses. And again, the cost is prohibitive because I think they are costing something like $4,000 these smart glasses can enable you to get a very good description of this, your environment, the person you are with, anything. So basically it increases access, but now the cost is very, very prohibitive again. Yeah, and the last question was, forgive me, I've forgotten. That's the last question. Yeah, of course, that exists. I think Sam Waweru and the rest can attest to that. So once I get your picture, it will describe you very well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to be, in front of this great panel, and for the opportunity of inviting us. So, asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for just giving us the interest. I request Professor Kabaji to please come forward. Professor Kabaji, Prof, please come so that you present the gift. And we will also do the signing for Mr. Mutuma. Professor Kabaji. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll also just request you and your assistant to just sign on the commitment. Like it was said yesterday, tunasema na kutenda. We're committing to be inclusive. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Please stand again and stretch. Let the blood flow as we invite. Just stretch. Maybe want to step out a bit and come back. It's okay. Yeah, you're welcome. You just to stretch. Say hi to someone. I know it's a conference. It's not a church meeting. Say hi to someone. Talk to someone. Just ask them about their interaction with people who are challenged differently. You know, what's their experience? Yeah, talk to someone. Some people don't have anyone to talk to. Talk to someone and just ask them, have they experienced? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, you may take a seat. You may take your seat. We'll take on the next keynote address speaker. This is Reverend Dr. Crispus Kinyanjui. He is an AI ethics scholar and lecturer at the Pan-African University Institute for Basic Science, Technology and Innovation, PAUSTI, in Nairobi, Kenya. Rev. Dr. Crispus Kinyanjui I've already said that. He also serves as the team lead of the Ethics and Governance Council at Think Tech Innovators, where he champions responsible technology development and ethical AI practices across Africa. Dr. Kinyanjui holds a unique interdisciplinary background spanning information technology, theology, metaphysics, which informs his work at the intersection of technology, ethics, faith, and human responsibility. His research and advocacy focuses on ensuring that AI development in emerging contexts is inclusive. And it is inclusive, ethically grounded, aligned with human flourishing. At Brains 2026, Dr. Kinyanjui is bringing on his distinctive voice to conversations on ethics, governance, and the role of faith in the age of artificial intelligence. Please put your hands together as we welcome Dr. Kinyanjui to the podium. Keep clapping until he gets here.
Good morning, everyone. I first and foremost want to extend my gratitude for the invitation that I received from the Vice Chancellor, Professor Laban, to put my voice forward during the Due Brains conference. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the planning committee of the conference, headed by the chair, Professor Kabaji, and everyone else who has made this a reality. Well, the title of my presentation, and for what I was called to speak about, is on ethics and governance in AI, specifically in our African context. I wear many hats. But if you were to ask me who I am, okay, normally we talk about what we do, but who am I? I'm a lover of technology, and I'm also a lover of humanity. So I find myself at the nexus, you could say the central point between those two, you could say, realities. I have a background in information technology, business information technology. I have been involved in system implementation, especially at university level, where we implemented systems called the enterprise resource systems, still running in several universities. I've been immersed in technology, and I've seen, experienced, and even been conditioned by the fact that technology changes lives, and that is, I'm totally not only convinced, I'm really part of it, and that's how it's gonna move forward. This is specifically for you to appreciate the fact that we are discussing AI because AI is here to stay. We are not going back. Most of you lived through the internet revolution. We are somehow children of the internet revolution. I handled my first computer in 1996, 1997, and we didn't know what was going to come out of that box. Okay, you remember the Windows 95, for those of you who used it. But now we can see that life is totally dependent on the internet. This is what is going to happen and is already happening with artificial intelligence. And I think, broadly speaking, that's why we are here in this conference. I was having a nice conversation in the morning when I arrived. That's why this conference is so timely, because we are at the point of departure into the next industrial revolution. 2 months ago, there was a document that was launched on the importance and the supremacy of human life over technology. And I think that is the correct logic to have. Okay, we are all excited, overwhelmed by the capabilities of technology, but we need to keep firm, and that has been the echoing theme of this conference, to keep firm on the fact that humanity has to come first. So during the launch of the document, one of the persons who was invited is the founder of one of the biggest AI companies right now in the Silicon Valley. It's called Anthropic. And that person's name is Christopher Solon. If you go to Twitter, you can find him and you can follow him. I don't work for him, by the way. He's just a person who is also at the, there's a tug of war right now between the great business capability of AI and the human values that artificial intelligence has to respect. And I think we have to appreciate that AI is big business. Anthropic, which it's the company that supports Claude AI, it came up just a few years ago, and today it is valued at $800 billion. I mean, the amounts we are talking about on a global perspective are mind-blowing. And I'm not saying that just to sound sensational. All I'm trying to communicate is that AI is big business. And when Christopher Solon was invited to talk, it was a conference like this, he humbly, with all his worth today in the stocks, he humbly said, I'm very grateful for conferences like this because perhaps you do not know what it takes for us who are in the business competitive environment to produce technology. And at times we tend to overlook the human and ethical aspects because we are in it is called the rat race, to be the next big company, the most profitable, the biggest business, the next, magnate. Sometimes we forget. And that's why some of us have to stay rooted, to remain rooted in the aspects of ethics and governance, even though we know that technology is quite powerful. Because if we don't do it, we are going to lose absolutely everything. And I'm glad in the next presentation, we are also going to hear an expounding of, going beyond ethics to aspects of faith. One of the caps I wear is I work for Think. Think is a Kenyan company that is in the midst of innovation. We are a community of AI developers, but we are taking the approach of putting African ethics into the development of technology. We are developing technology, AI technology for government services and also for private sector. And in all that, we are firmly rooted on ethical principles and ethical principles and governance principles so as not to lose focus on the importance, the greater importance of human value as opposed to technology for its own sake. Next slide, please. 2 weeks ago, we had a research conference under the Jomo Kenyatta Innovation Hub, where we brought together people from different niches in life, experts in their own fields. And I just wanted to share this conclusion that is right here in terms of what will African AI look like and how different will it be from, you could say, Western developed artificial intelligence. And we discovered that for years, conversations around AI in Africa have focused on access to the technology, access to tools, computing, training, and opportunities. While those challenges remain important, the discussions at the workshop pointed to a different question. What happens after we access those technologies? And across the presentations from researchers, industry leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs, a common argument emerged. The success of African AI will not be measured by the number of models, chatbots. You know, chatbots is really the trendy word. I'm supervising a group of master's students, and now they're doing their projects in AI. And most of them are excited. They are telling me, I'm going to build a chatbot, okay? Just like several years ago, when we were doing our own projects, we would say, I'm going to build a website. You remember? I'm going to build the first .com, you know? So today they are saying, I'm going to build my first chatbot. And in terms of guidance, we would say that's not the most important thing. For Africa, it is important, and the success of AI in Africa will be measured by our ability to solve real problems. I think that goes very much with the presentation we just heard from Mr. Samuel, where artificial intelligence is able to solve real problems, generate credible evidence, and deploy solutions that communities can trust. And that's very special about Africa. If you look at the geopolitical panorama of artificial intelligence, you will notice that, for example, in America, in the United States, AI is heavily, you could say, based on, first of all, the commercial viability, how much money AI can bring to the table. And I can tell you it's lots of it. I'm sure you know about that. In America as well, AI is focused on the military capabilities. Today, as we are having this conference, there's another conference that is closing in Rome, and they're discussing how to put into action the ethical guidelines of the new world under artificial intelligence, especially with regard to warfare and military use. We don't quite find ourselves there. When you look at Europe, which is across the other side of the continent, their approach to AI has been to put a structure of risk assessment and risk regulation. So what they've basically said is that this elephant in the room is so big, the only thing we can do is to control the damage and to assess the risk and to make sure that our people in Europe and their information is protected and their dignity is kept. And therefore, we have to ask ourselves as the African continent, where do we find ourselves when faced with artificial intelligence? And that will lead me to my next slide, kindly. We have to find our own identity. I would say the African continent is heavily rooted on community. During the launch of that publication, one of the persons invited, it was an African professor from Congo, and she spoke about the philosophy of Ubuntu, and that is something that clearly marks who we are as African people and how we are going to approach these real challenges regarding African AI. So I think, and that was actually brought out yesterday in the in the conference, and especially I was happy to hear Professor Katz speak about it, that there is something unique about Africa. You know, sometimes it's good to hear from people who are not from our own space when they tell us, this is what you have, okay? Work with that. Don't go and just copy, paste something that has been developed for another set of environment. And I think the underlying principle for the African perspective of AI will be community. The success of AI in Africa will have to gel completely with our, you could say, communitarian setup. I'm sure many of you have been in family negotiations, whether here in the city or outside, whereby you sit in a council or in a baraza or in a meeting, maybe up country, and really during that meeting, it doesn't matter how many big ideas you might have about the way forward, of how this family has to go, or matters to do with inheritance. What ultimately wins the day is the consensus. How people understand each other as a community. And if you're not part of that consensus, you probably will find yourself outside. Is that true or false? And that's something very unique to us as Africans. And AI and ethics in AI will have to be based on consensus, community, exchange of ideas, and then a communal way to move forward. It will not be imposed. If you impose, it might backfire. And in our development of AI models, we are looking for consensus. Some of the dangers we find with the AI models that we are dealing with today are listed above. The question of bias and discrimination. The African data is not present in the big chatbots that are being used today in the world. There is total darkness about African information, partly due to the fact that that information is also not written down. Most of our traditions are oral and not written. But that's not necessarily a problem. It's just the way our continent finds itself. Privacy infringements and misuse of data. We have gaps of accountability, dangers of the fear of what will happen to my job. Okay. Recently, I was in another conference, and you know, there's already a list of that has come out of people who are going to lose jobs in the order of the easiness of losing your job through AI. Okay, among the first ones that I saw were language translators. I don't know whether there are any language translators here. So the interpreters will be quickly replaced by artificial intelligence systems. But so there's that fear of work displacement. Then there's also the other aspects like environmental impact, climate change. The data servers that are supposed to keep the information, the data that is running the AI models, okay, and how much of pollution they produce to the environment. All these are key factors that we'll need to assess even as we implement AI in Africa. So how does artificial intelligence remain, could say, under the supervision of humans? There is something that the VC said yesterday that for me it caught. We need to create smarter machines, but wiser people. Smarter machines, wiser people. And that's truly the way forward. Another quotation that has been made as we move to the next slide is that the artificial intelligence should never and will never overshadow the intelligence. The artificial will never overshadow the intelligence. And that's where we find ourselves. In the morning, it was interesting to hear that within the scriptures and within matters to do with faith, one thing that remains there in the Bible that we can connect with artificial intelligence is intelligence itself, which is not something that belongs to computers. It is something that belongs actually to God, and He has bestowed it on human beings. More risks to do with AI, the objectification of human beings, data exploitation. Quite recently, a few months ago on the Daily Nation, there was a story where some Kenyans have taken Meta company, which is the owner of Facebook, WhatsApp, all these tools that we use. They've taken that company to court because they were exploited when Meta was collecting data and putting it into their systems. So that information that they had to filter and review ended up affecting them psychologically, mentally, okay? Some of them had to go for therapy, hospitalization, etc. So this is real, and it's happening. Misinformation has been identified as the greatest threat facing humanity today, even sometimes beyond warfare and climate change. So what is real information and what is not? Did that person in authority say those words that appear in the video, or was it a deep fake? So these are the things that going forward we shall have to deal with, misinformation. And if we are not able to stick to the principles of truth, human dignity, there is going to be a world crisis regarding what is true and what is not. Superintelligence is a great risk. The possibility that there are systems of AI that will become so powerful that they are going to outdo, as we had also in the previous presentation, the people themselves who created them. Unlike many other human creations, AI can be trained on the results of human creativity and then generate new artifacts with a level of speed and skill that often rivals or surpasses what humans can do. Keep in mind that AI systems do not sleep. They don't get tired. It is true that they probably cannot change their perspectives about issues the way we do. Like right now, I could be talking here and my mind is somewhere in Switzerland. I could be talking here, you're looking at me, and some of you are probably thinking of the goal that Messi scored last night, and you're there somewhere in Atlanta or wherever. I mean, that's the great capacity of the human mind. And probably AI cannot act that fast. But it has a level of speed and skill that surpasses human beings over time because it works day and night like a machine. This technology is designed to learn and make certain choices autonomously, adapting to new situations and providing solutions not foreseen by its programmers, and thus raising fundamental questions about ethical responsibility and this word here, human safety. Human safety. My work in this presentation is really to break down what we are talking about when we say we need to humanize artificial intelligence. What does that really mean? What are the steps that we need to take? What are the principles that we need to work with in order to make that goal, that vision, a reality? What are the fundamental differences between human intelligence, God-given intelligence, according to the book of Genesis, and artificial intelligence? First, when we look at the dimension, the learning method, human intelligence, well, we learn through experience. Okay? This morning I had a cup of tea with venerable gentlemen and ladies, and I learned a lot through experience, interaction, talking, community. AI learns through algorithm, computation, etc. Second, I hope my time is not running out. It's out. Okay. I still had a lot to go. Let me jump to the last slides. Okay. On the essence, then we have, just move to the next slide. I want us to go to the fundamental principles. That one there, up there. This will be the 5 to 6 ethical principles that are going to guide AI going forward for it to be beneficial to us in the continent and as human beings. Number one will be the respect for human integrity, dignity, and development. Number two will be community and connection, and to prevent isolation of individuals. Number three will be the protection of the common good and the universal benefit of AI systems for all people, regardless of their age, class in society. Number four, battling against misinformation will be the truth and the respect for truth. Second, lastly, will be the care against clearly malicious outputs of AI. And finally, will be to rethink AI technology so that it's not, we don't produce technology first and then we try to see the impact. We shall be going through a full integral ethical design from the first stage to the last. Let's move on to the last slide and I finish. We are in a state of engagement, and we are also inviting you to a collaboration, because for me, one of the biggest takeaway of this conference will be this launch of the Journal of Artificial Intelligence, Digital Innovation and Society. I'm a lover of journals. Because I read journals because they give you the cutting edge. What's the real issue at you could say the top layer of conversation. And my prayer is that the Daystar Journal of AI and Digital Innovation and Society will be our voice to speak to the world, encompassing all the principle of African ethics so that they may understand us and they may be able to hear us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and apologies for rushing you through. Thank you. I request Professor Kabaji again to please come over. Okay. And Dr. Jane Kimathi. Thank you very much for that and for the invite, and we will join you. Thank you. Okay. Please, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And your signature. Thank you very, very much. A round of applause for him. Thank you very much. Allow me to, thank you, sir. Allow me to welcome one of the faculty in Daystar University, Dr. Ruben Kigame. We can almost sing all his songs, you know. Thank you very much as he comes to speak to us.
The Vice Chancellor, the organizing chair and team, distinguished guests, scholars, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Just a couple personal remarks, and then I'll read what I will be presenting. It's always really difficult to speak after, great speakers have highlighted critical issues that you would delve into. And so I'll do my best to stick to the faith angle. But first, to thank Daystar University for being very practical with the issue of inclusion. I must say that this is the first university that hired me on merit. And the interview was very, very cordial. I think we were supposed to do 45 minutes. We did close to an hour and a half. And I want to thank God for the opportunity to serve as a blind lecturer in the Department of Theology and Pastoral Studies. I wear many hats. Yes, I come from the world of music and creative arts, where I recently encountered AI. And I asked it to write a song for me, and it did. I asked it to write another song, a worship song, and it did. And the instrumentation was great, but the lyrics were horrible. They were impersonal. And after a while, you realize that you're dealing with technology and it will never replace the real human being. I also wear the hat of someone interested in information science. My master's is in journalism and media studies. And I must say that we are living out the whole thing that Marshall McLuhan pointed out many years ago, that these media are becoming the extensions of man, actually. And here we are, dealing with one critical extension, something to really look at. But I'm glad to speak to you this morning because my most recent research is in the area of music and social justice. And so when we come to today's topic on AI, faith, and disability, I am very, very interested in the remarks that have been made with regard to humanizing technology. So allow me to just read what I had prepared and then leave because I've got to go to Athi River and teach physically. So I thank the organizers of this conference for inviting me to make a few remarks on this intriguing theme of AI and research, inclusion, and society. My brief remarks We'll concentrate on the aspect of inclusion, particularly the area of AI, faith, and the ethics of disability. Faith and the ethics of disability are critical for 7 main areas. 1, government policy makers. 2, academic institutions and educators. 3, digital program developers. 4, civil society. 5, media and communication experts. 6, faith-based communities. And 7, parents and guardians. All these groups will be affected one way or the other with issues of AI, faith, and disability ethics. Personally, as someone living with visual disability, I would not want to preempt what my wonderful brother Mutuma said. I've gone through all that and come back because I learned how to type when I was about 13 or 14 on the old manual typewriter. And yes, Professor Kabaji, I was also a recipient of grace in that fellow students read books for me, and I put stuff in Braille at the university. As a footnote, that's also how I met my wife, because she used to read for me. But the Bible, when it comes to faith, gives a very clear guideline as to how we need to view the area of technology and development in the light of God's purpose for humanity. Genesis puts it out very clearly. God made us in his image and in his likeness. So all of us made in that way. But he gave us the mandate also to subdue the earth and replenish it. I think that's where technology comes in, that we need to subdue for utility and replenish for service. And so when we come to issues of faith and ethics with regard to persons living with disability, that particular Imago Dei principle must stay in place. And the mission that God gives us must also be in place. From the earliest time possible, we know that faith and learning have always coexisted. Indeed, the earliest education was in the cathedrals. And so this is a good place, Daystar being such an institution that brings the nexus of faith and learning in one space. So given that Daystar University is a Christian institution, and with my scholarship currently anchored at the Department of Theology and Pastoral Studies, I will focus very briefly on 2 aspects and then conclude. 1, how AI is enhancing faith for persons living with disability. And 2, how AI is destroying the faith and overall life of believers, especially those living with disability. First, the good stuff. How it's improving. 1, AI has made information on any theme of faith, biblical content, liturgy, sermons, and answers to difficult questions readily accessible. That's a good thing. 2, AI has made it easier for music production, for artists including full audiography and videography, thus drastically reducing studio costs and other impediments to production. I think the church would benefit greatly from that. Thirdly, Transcription and translation programs have made it easy for persons living with visual disability in particular to find their place around churches and through other social spaces, as when they use programs like Seeing AI, and for improvement of communication with the hearing impaired through technological ways of signing. So that is also a good thing. Fourthly, mobility is becoming easier with time, given the advent of smart canes, autonomous vehicles, biped AI mobility vests, the eyeglasses with capability to give you direction, and what we call guidance robots. These are good in enhancing inclusion. 5, text-to-speech and speech-to-text apps have made it easy to use devices such as laptops and smartphones, making it easier for persons living with disability in faith communities to be able to navigate life and space opportunities. That has been demonstrated to us this morning. I will not go into it again. Now let us turn to how AI is destroying lives of believers living with disability and their communities. And I share these mainly because it's only by recognizing those challenges that we can do something about them. And this is a challenge especially to programmers and those researching areas of inclusion to think critically about managing these destructive tendencies. Number 1, there is the issue of algorithmic bias, which tends to generalize services and technical options for persons living with disability, e.g., AI tools like those that do speech recognition may not understand commands made by a person with Down syndrome or autism. So it will generalize and judge that speech or information put by them the same way they would judge someone who doesn't have them. Secondly, screening to enter malls, airport lounges, churches, and other spaces are often discriminating for persons living with disabilities, e.g., when it comes to facial recognition, or even the scanning of simple things such as the QR code. It may tend to privilege those without visual and other forms of disability. I think I will highlight 2 interesting incidents. One was where I was checking in at the airport and the guy did not know how to tell me how to look at the camera. And so she goes, look here, look here. I say, where? Look in front of you. In front of me, okay. Look right, a little bit right, So you assume that everybody can look at a camera and get that picture done quickly. So that can be a little exclusive. And I was recently in Bujumbura, and they are no longer doing paperwork to bring you into the country. They say, can you scan your QR code? To do that, I need internet at that point. I didn't know what to do. Go queue there, go do that, and you're supposed to queue with everybody else, push and, pretty much fight for opportunities to get cleared. It can get cumbersome. And maybe those programming may find a way around it to speed this up. Thirdly, it can have safety risks. When the users don't have the controls, such as terminating operation in the face of malfunction. I'm just thinking about things like automated vehicles, which are trained to see people like objects. And so we would need to think about the danger that comes with it. Supposing I was actually driving one of those automatic cars and I couldn't stop it, what would happen? That is something that Elon Musk and the rest that are going in that space need to talk about. What about even just simple mobility as we go into green cars, car technology, and the battery use? We are used to sound when a car is approaching. And then comes this thing that is moving and you can't tell that it's a car. And it could hit you. Because tumezoea engine ya petroli. Some of them are pretty quiet. And not to mention the recent madness with electric bikes, which don't stop at traffic lights. So you get out of an Uber, you want to go to the side, and here comes this quiet thing, and boom, it hits you. So we need to think about safety, even as we do that, as we progress with motion-type AI interventions. Fourthly, most AI programming is biased towards smart technology, circuitry, access to high-speed internet, and Western accents. So what happens is if you don't have internet, you're traveling, and you're relying on AI to describe, where you are for you, it will not, because unless it's equipped to do it without internet, that could be a challenge in many parts of Africa. And so you can also, especially for those that are developing the software and applications for the African continent, please factor in our accents. I remember the first time I told Siri to write me a text to my bank manager. Happened to be a lady. And so I said, "Hi, Penina." And Siri wrote, "Hi, banana." That could cause some ethical challenges, because I don't want a female manager imagining that she's my banana. I didn't intend it. Siri dictated it. I won't even mention other things it has written that are so unlike me just because of my accent. So we need to train it with Kenyan accent, Nigerian, or whatever, so that it's able to pick up who we are. So this limits information and social integration in less developed places. I was given 10 minutes. I'm sorry I've done more than that, but let me conclude by making a few recommendations. First of all, programming should be done not so much for PWDs, but by or with PWDs in mind. So we need to involve persons living with disability in the actual programming, not just information input, but also interviews on what may be required for better performance, etc. Secondly, the church needs to integrate AI in its liturgy. And when it comes to things like serving Holy Communion, and when the elements are passed or you're called to experience them, I don't know how much is made to accommodate especially those that may be on wheelchairs and those that may have visual disabilities like me, who, if you pass a plate, I will probably knock the juice down. And so liturgy and that experience needs to be taken care of. There needs to be interfaces that also make options for tactile interaction. I'm reading Braille now, but to be able to use, let's say, projection in a Sunday service, if my sister Helen Mtawali has put up lyrics on the screen. Most options utilize audio to be able to interface with that particular technology. There needs to be an option for me to be able to read those lyrics in Braille from my pew, interfaced with the overhead projection. I think that would really enhance inclusion. Again, there needs to be stronger filters in view of information overload in a manner that grants more discretion for AI users that live with disability. Everything pops up. Sometimes you're trying to click on something and all these pop-ups come, and for most of the adverts and so on, you can't even stop them. That can be very, very annoying, if not offensive for some of us, because some of the ads are obscene, some of them are horrible. You are listening to a scripture and you want to move to the next one, and then comes this guy advertising how to deal with erectile dysfunctions. And I think that's invasion of privacy, and somebody needs to be sued for selecting such adverts for believers. All right. There should be more programming concentrated on materials in languages without scripture or Christian liturgy. There are communities that don't even have the Bible. I think this is a good area for AI to go into. Fourthly, we must ensure that AI does not destroy the progress already made in the area of integration of persons living with disability in church and general social life. It should enhance rather than reduce that interaction. 5, we must ensure that we do not abuse the privacy of persons living with disability or infringe on aspects such as medical record autonomy, because that is happening at a very alarming rate. People's records are taken, their privacy infringed, and they don't even know. And lastly, it is time for AI programmers to compensate musicians like us for using models of our music and samples to process these AI voices, instrumentations, and so on, and they don't pay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mwalimu. Thank you very much. Again, may I invite Prof. Kabaji? Thank you very much.
And it's nice to meet Professor Kabaji, because I used to listen to him on KBC doing Books and Bookmen.
Okay.
Thank you very much. After hii sasa, we tell Adori. Okay. Sawa, sawa. Bring the other one. No, yes,
Thank you very much, Mwalimu. Thank you very much. And we'll also guide you to sign. Asante sana. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very. Thank you very much. Thank you, audience. You're a great audience. At this point, I'll invite Dr. Adoli to just give us direction.
Can we give a round of applause for Dr. Susan? She has done an amazing job. She calls me my small sister, and I call her my elder sister. Thank you so much, Dr. Ari. Are we still excited? I mean, you guys, starting with the second speaker, I think. Yeah, no, Professor Edward. And Professor Edward gave us an academic interaction. Then comes an experience of disability with AI. And then, of course, my friend, I met a friend today, Dr. Chris, eloquent in terms of your interaction and your concern, the competent of Imago Dei. And we said you are going to elaborate on that further. And of course, Dr. Ruben Kigame, our colleague here, and we are so, so excited. It has been an amazing session. Can we do a 5 factorial for all those speakers? Let's start. 1. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much, and you've been an amazing audience. You can just clap once for yourself, just once, pap. Now, I'm ushering you to the next session. I think most of us here have been waiting for this session, the paper presentation session. I'm making an announcement, and when we come back, we follow suit. So we have been advised that we will be honored or be graced by our Vice Chancellor, and so we are hoping that he can be here. But after this session, we are going for tea break. Tea break, notice, time back is 11:30. So look at your time, your watch. How many minutes do you have? Please be back at 11:30. You don't want to make the Vice Chancellor waiting for us. But if Professor Iro will not be here, we continue with the virtual session. So for the next session of presentation is virtual papers, and this is how we have organized. We have around 10 or 11 papers that have been submitted to be presented virtually. We also want to demonstrate what Daystar does when it comes to hybrid and virtual learning. So in this room, this is room 1. Room 1 is auditorium. All papers in the auditorium are hybrid papers, and I have the speakers here. For room 1 will be Joseph Mahaha, Arvin Kiplagat, Marcin Jagi, Brenda Wambua, Beatrice Manyasi. And then those online, also, we have 5 speakers. That will be Jacqueline Anundo, PhD, Samson Nokok, Rahab Atwaire, Musimi Caroline, and Sami Kitula. We have already organized, spoken to them. They have already joined the link. We have done a breakaway. So those of you who will be here will not be able to see what is happening in breakaway 2. So breakaway 2 will be the online. Breakaway 1, which is here, will be the virtual presentations. Now, when we come back, we are ready for that. But in case our Vice Chancellor will be here, we'll give him a chance to greet us and also to give us more wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all raise up as we pray for tea and be back here at 11:30. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning and we want to thank you for the amazing graces that you have given us. We woke up, we started our session, we have our speakers, we have been enlightened, and God, we thank you for that. Even as you want to break for tea, Father, I ask for your blessings as we partake the meal. Give us the strength, the energy to persist, but also to continue glorifying your holy name. Trusting and believing in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, we pray. Amen. Enjoy your tea. 11:30 tukutane hapa. You clap for me. Thank you.